Welcome back to our podcast. No apologies, we're real and sarcastic. Today we're going to talk about colonialism. You know what's funny about colonialism? That everyone talks about it like it was an old habit, that it was toxic, but I'm healed now. No, you didn't. I didn't. No one actually did. You just changed your haircut and blocked the word responsibility. Because colonialism did not really end. It just rebranded. It learned better PR. It stopped wearing uniforms and suits and start wearing confidence. And somehow we're still the unstable people. I'm from the Arab world, so colonialism isn't just a chapter in a book of my life. It's kind of architecture, let's say. It borders that look like they've been drawn in a coffee break. It's government that feels like unfinished group project, and it's passport that apologize before you even open your mouth. And yes, before someone say, but Arab have their own problems, of course we do. Of course we do. That's what happened when your nerve system has been occupied for too long, let's say for centuries, which is true. Take, for an example, Sykes Picot. If you know anything about this agreement, if you don't, it might sound for you like a nice brand or some kind of perfume. Actually, it was two guys in 1916, Mark Sykes from Britain and Francis Picot from France, sitting with the map of the Arab region during the World War I when they started dividing countries as its inheritance after war before even the body could cold. They literally took a ruler and they draw lines across the map, not based on tribes or culture or let's say language or history. No, they did it based on vibes, oil, tribe roots, and ego. So Britain say, I want this part, and France say, I want that part, and the people of the land, they weren't included or consulted with this agreement at all. Imagine cutting one family into 5 houses, lock the doors, lock the windows, don't allow them to have any connection to each other. And then you will be so shocked that everyone keeps screaming through the walls. So Sykes-Picot didn't just create borders. In fact, it created permanent tension, fragile status, identity, confusion, and conflicts that regenerate like a bad sequels. And the funniest part, Europe later acted so surprised when the region became unstable, like we randomly sliced your reality with the ruler. Why you're not grateful? Oh, thank you so much. We are really grateful for what you did. Like colonialism really said, trust the process. What process are we talking about exactly right now? So when everything predictably exploded, they just ask, why are you people are so chaotic? It's like throwing someone into the ocean who can't even swim and criticize them in their own way of swimming just to survive, in their own techniques to survive. Edward Said called this whole fantasy Orientalism, which basically means that the West didn't just control our land, it controlled our image to other people, to our nation. It created a story about us that made dominations feel something logical. If we're, for an example, if we were irrational, someone's need to manage us. If we were violent, someone need to control us. And if we were exotic, someone need to consume us. It's branding. Colonialism has always been very good at marketing, one of the best, and we can see it now in our days. And the strange thing is, after hearing stories about yourself for a long time, you start repeating it and you start even believe this is stuff about yourself. And you start editing yourself, explaining yourself, trying to performing yourself. Not because you want to, but because survival learned fast. Frantz Fanon wrote about this psychological violence. He said the colonized is elevated above his jungle status in proportion to his adoption of the mother country culture standards. So what does that mean? Which is a polite way of saying the closer you act to them, the more human you are allowed to be. And think about this really, really deep. The closer you act to them, the more human you are allowed to be. So what are you to them in that case? So language became hierarchy. English became intelligence. French became elegant, while Arabic sounded emotional, loud, suspicious, and dangerous. Accent became a class system, and passport became personality traits. So you start to apologizing before even speaking, just in case. So I noticed actually this on myself at the beginning when I just came to Europe. I was always apologizing even before I say anything because I'm worried that people will understand me wrongly, for an example. Or when I say some Arabic word in the street and people start looking at me, I feel sorry to myself because I'm putting myself in this situation because how people see me according to the propaganda and the brainwashing that they have been living since the past. So, yeah, this is something that really go deep down in our brains, in our personality, that really change our way of communication even. And this isn't just an Arab story. For an example, Vietnam, they lived the same script, just a little bit different scenario, let's say, because France also colonized Vietnam for decades, controlled education, controlled language, trade, redesigned society around obedience and usefulness. When Vietnam fought back, France felt so offended because colonialism always mistake obedience for love. Then the US stepped in because empires hate unfinished business. So the war destroyed the land, poisoned the soil, displaced generations. And today Vietnam still live with chemical scars, economic restructuring, and inherited trauma. Different language, but it's the same system that is doing all of this all over the world. Amy Cesar, she said something really devastating. She said colonization worked to decivilize the colonizer, to brutalize him in the true sense of the word, meaning colonial violence didn't make Europe advance, it just normalized cruelty and denial, which explains geopolitics better than most of the news channel. Colonialism also loved religion, but not spiritually, obviously, more like strategically, like how they can use it. Sometimes religion crushed when it threatened the power, and sometimes it was encouraged when it kept people divided and obedient. So in that point, divide people by belief, reward loyal leaders, punish inconvenient thinkers, and later just point at the chaos and say this religion, it's impossible, right? So you set fire and then criticize the smoke by the fire that you created. So they love to call this era post-colonial. A post according to who? Traumas doesn't respect deadlines. Borders don't heal themselves and dictators don't evaporate politely. Economics don't recover just because the flag have changed the colors. Arab countries inherited a system that were designed for control, not for care. Vietnam inherited a land that it's still carrying a chemical memory. Same logic, just different weather. So from that, we take that colonialism, it's one of the worst Airbnb guests that you would have because they come, they just destroy your house, and then they will leave with a bad review for your place. So here we go back again to Palestine as the most honest version of colonialism because it never pretended to end, because it never ended. Settler colonialism in real time, erasure with legal vocabulary, occupation with branding, and Palestinians constantly asked to be peaceful while disappearing, which is honestly one of the most colonial sentences ever invented. Please suffer quietly so we can feel ethical. Now, colonialism, it evolved. It got softer in different form. For example, like grants, NGOs, culture programs, art funding, development language. Suddenly, your freedom need a proposal, your pain needs subtitles, your resistance need to be digestible. Homi Bahabha called it mimicry because they like you almost when you're like them. Not too angry, not too honest, not too political, different but not dangerous. And what's dangerous for them, which is anything that it doesn't look like them, it's dangerous. And this is where art became dangerous because art remembers, art refuses clean narratives, art leak memory into our present. So colonial system loves a museum as long as the history stays quiet behind the glass. They love ethnic art like costumes, patterns, pretty pain, but they get uncomfortable when artists start naming power, when it talks about stolen land instead of a beautiful desert, when it talks about bodies instead of folklore, when it refuses to be grateful. Vietnamese war art, Arab resistant art, Palestinians posters, poetry smuggled from prisons, calligraph turned into protest. Art became archive when official history became propaganda, which is why it still scarce systems of control. Soft colonialism tried to curate that fear, which stories can be funded, which voices can be invited, which trauma can be marketable. So your suffering becomes content, your resistance becomes aesthetic, your identity becomes branding. So decolonization, but make it cute in that way. After all this, after all these borders, wars, coups, extractions, interferes, traumas, we are still asked why this region is unstable, as if history is gossip, as if colonialism was just misunderstanding, as if millions of lives were technical error. Frantz Fanon said, each generation must, out of relative obscurity, discover its mission, fulfil it, or betray it, which honestly sounds really exhausting, but somehow true, because healing from colonialism isn't wellness retreat, it's political, it's messy, it's really uncomfortable. It change how you love, it change how you speak, how you create, how you destroy, everything that you do in your life, it's going to be changed because you will understand, because you're trying to understand what happened to you, to your generation, to the generation before you and before you, till it came to you. Colonialism, we say it again, didn't just steal land or control land. It stole imagination, its ability to trust ourselves, the right to dream without permission. Arab world, Asian world like Vietnam, Africa, Latin America, and the list go on and on and on. And when you want to think about it, all this power, where does it lie? And you can understand from where all of this happening right now. Different wounds, same system, same diseases, different accent. And the fact we're still breathing and living inside the consequences, it means it never left. Colonialism, it still exists and we are living in it. It just learned how it hid itself much better. So we pause now. Thank you so much. I hope you enjoyed this episode and it helped you to think more about the system and how we're living right now, and to be more nicer to each other. And yeah, you can share, like, comment if you want. If you don't, it's fine. All I care about, if I can to change the life, at least I can just change one person way of thinking. Thank you again. See you next episode. Ciao.